All right, greetings and salutations. Interesting note. I am now coming back from Sturgis. I am in the car. I have my lovely wife back here with me. Long haul, so I'm towing the trailer. And I am currently in the passenger seat. I have my copilot, which is not here, driving. And so I am editing a video that I did on the way to Leesburg. So this is going to be a little out of order. But the Leesburg, I was having thoughts while I was driving by myself for that trip about what is a motorcycle? Because that's a question that I'd like to explore. So let's do that on today's Graybeard Biker. So this is one of those situations where, like I said, I'm headed down to Leesburg Bike Fest. I've got all of the equipment that I need with me for collecting content. I'm also partnered up with Cape Easy Ride, which many of you know. So I have some duties there that I have to do. So I've got all my stuff with me, and I'm going down the interstate, and you start to have, we'll call them interstate thoughts. So I started thinking, I have 7-8 hours in the car. What am I, besides driving, what am I going to do? And I decided, you know what? I will share these thoughts with my audience. We will shoot an episode going down the road. So that's what we're doing today. So what if I told you that most of us have been using the word motorcycle entirely wrong this entire time? And that some of the machines that people call motorcycles actually aren't.
I'm sorry, if you're right, I would agree with you.
Today we're going to break down what a motorcycle actually is. Where does the word come from? What counts and what doesn't? So let's start with the word itself. Motorcycle. Technically, a motor refers to electric power. So the machines that we drive are not motorcycles because they're not electric, unless you have one of those newfangled, green vehicles. They are engine cycles. An engine refers to the internal combustion device that powers us with gasoline. So we are actually driving engine cycles, not motorcycles. Now, modern language, of course, has blurred that line. Today, motorcycle covers both. So you would think that the origin of the word tells us where it all started. But it doesn't. You see, motorcycles, what we call motorcycles, were actually started off as bicycles that had an engine attached to it. It never had a motor attached to it. Now, some motorcycles kept the pedals. That's where moped comes from. Moped means motor plus pedal. Moped. The English language really has a tendency to mess things up, doesn't it? As I tell you that I can hear you over here while driving to a hearing using my hearing. The English language, right? Now, aside from the etymology of it all, let's break down the different types, because this is where people really start to argue. Let's talk about the retail classifications for motorcycles. We'll start with the smallest, because that's how most of us got started in this thing we call motorcycle. I actually started earlier than most. I had one of those battery operated bikes that you get as a child. You can get it from the hardware store or whatever. Here, I'll show you a picture of what the one I had looked like. This one isn't mine, but it's what the one I had looked like. Made for toddlers, small kids. Get you accustomed to the idea of having a motorcycle. Now, my father came from the motorcycle world. When he grew up in the 50s and 60s, he was involved in motorcycle culture then. So that it came to me by heredity, if you will. He brought it into the family. So I started super young. I went on from this battery-powered thing to the Sears mini bike. Cruisers, right? Low, relaxed, built for distance. That's Harley territory. Though Harley certainly isn't the only one that makes a cruiser motorcycle. Then you have sport bikes, which for now I'll just tell you are aggressive, high performance, built for speed and handling motorcycles. Then you have what we are calling touring bikes. Those are comfort, storage, long distance ride. Then we have dirt bikes or motocross bikes. And here's where there's a big split. Dirt bikes and motocross. Dirt bikes are lightweight, high suspension, built for off-road and not the street. Motocross bikes are purpose-built for tracks, for jumps, tight turns, for racing. And that brings up a debate of street bike versus dirt bike. So for some reason, that's a major dividing line. It never really has been for me because I grew up starting with mini bikes and then going into dirt bikes before I ever got to street bikes myself. So I never had this as an issue, but evidently some people do. So street bikes are built for pavement. They have lights, mirrors, signals, DOT tires. Dirt bikes, well, most of them are not street legal. There's no lights, no signals, because they were never designed for the road. Now, there is something in between, and that's called a trail bike. A trail bike is kind of like a hybrid between the two. A trail bike is a dirt bike that is street legal and is usually less aggressive. Now, technically, a trail bike is what's called a dual sport or adventure bike. These are, kind of that middle ground where you have both street legal and capable off-road. They kind of bridge that gap. My first street bike was a trail bike. And before that, I had dirt bikes and I rode motocross. And before that was mini bikes. Now, mini bikes are just like it sounds. They are miniature bikes, miniature motorcycles. Again, back to etymology, we call them bikes because bicycles, which is where they originated. They were a bicycle with a motor attached to it. No, bicycle with an engine attached to it. Anyway, mini bikes, small frame, smaller engine. Usually they're under 200 cc's as far as their size is concerned. And they were originally pit bikes or backyard machines that were made for fun. Now, since then, some of them are street legal and some aren't. But mechanically, they still fit the motorcycle definition, modern definition. Bikes like the Honda Gram sit straddling that line. They're small, but they're fully street legal. They have full controls. They have real motorcycle behavior. They're just small.
SMO.
Now you'll see them in stunt riding, city riding, even mixed into full-sized group rides at times. They've become very popular over the last several years as a kind of a bigger or more grown-up, more established mini bike. Then we have trikes. Trikes are 3 wheels, but they're still motorcycle controls. That's why they stay in this category. A trike is a 3-wheeled motorcycle. The Can-Am also fits in this category. It still has handlebars, still has a throttle, still has motorcycle style controls. It's just instead of the 2 wheels being in the back, the 2 wheels are in the front. Now, I've heard 2 different sides of this. Some say that you can read it to turn. Others say that you can't. So maybe there's 2 types. But you still operate it the same way that you would operate a motorcycle. Then you have the slingshot. Slingshot also has 3 wheels. The slingshot is not a trike. Steering wheel, pedals, bucket seats. That is not a motorcycle. That is an automotive design. That is a car design. I would even go as far to say as it is a dune buggy. Slingshot riders, I know you love your vehicle. Stop trying to bring it on Main Street in Daytona. Stop trying to park it in the motorcycle parking. It's not a motorcycle. Enjoy it. I'm not telling you not to enjoy it. Stop calling it a motorcycle. It's just not. I had this conversation with a dealer that was trying to sell them in Daytona. Then we have scooters. Well, scooters have what's known as a step-through frame. Most of them have an automatic transmission. They're not manual transmission. Most motorcycles are manual transmission. Scooters have an automatic transmission. They have smaller wheels. They're also classified as a motorcycle legally, but functionally, they kind of fit in their own category. A motorcycle. Well, it's not engine size. It's not speed. It's not even where you ride it at. It comes down to the way it was designed and how you control it. Handlebars, throttle, and how the rider connects with the machine. From, dirt bikes to Harleys to Groms, it all comes from the same idea. 2 wheels and a power source. Or in the case of a trike, 3 wheels. Now, call it a motor, call it an engine, it's still all going to be about the ride. The motorcycle, my understanding is, because this is just freewheeling conversation, I'm not, looking any of this stuff up. The motorcycle, I believe, was first designed by, or at least popularized by Indian, believe it or not Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson came after Indian. Indian was the champion motorcycle manufacturer in the early 1900s. And they made the Indian motorcycle, which was a engine-powered bicycle. And then Harley Davidson took that idea, went to the shed, literally, and eventually developed the V-twin engine, which we all know and love. Aside from motorcycles themselves, there is a huge cultural divide between sport bikes and everybody else. And it's really not the motorcycle's fault. Now, I have a personal opinion about the sports bike. We call them the crotch rocket. And that's because, rocket, they are fast.
3, 2, 1.
They were originally designed for racing. Now, the cultural divide is a sociology problem. It is not a mechanical problem. The issue that you have with the motorcycle world's division between sport bikes and cruisers is people are hateful. People like to argue amongst themselves. And there's also a constant generational divide that goes along with that. And younger people have a tendency to be the ones that ride sport bikes because they want to go fast. And the behavior of these younger riders on the crotch rocket upsets a lot of the rest of us that are in the motorcycle community. Racing around, going 100 miles an hour, passing all of the cars, sharing their lanes. These are things that we in the rest of the culture feel give motorcycling a bad image. But it's not the motorcycle's fault. It's the immaturity of the rider. It's their fault. And of course, they take the defensive and they start calling out the rest of us, saying that, Harleys can't go as fast. Well, Harleys were never made to go as fast. Motocross bikes can't go as fast either. Neither can mini bikes. Neither can mopeds. The crotch rocket is the fastest motorcycle because it's made for racing. That is a dumb argument.
It is lights out. We are racing in MotoGP here in Spain. This time around, Marc Marquez has nailed the start of proposition. Just listen to the roar of the crowd as Jorge Martin.
I know plenty of people that have gone from the sport bike world because they like racing, and then as they got older and started to actually enjoy the scenery around them, which is a more mature thing to do, have crossed over into the cruiser world. Because my father came up in motorcycling and was part of the cruiser world, have always enjoyed the cool side of motorcycling. The freedom, the being stress-free, the being laid back and enjoying the world around you, which is a completely different motivation than speed and adrenaline. So it's not that one is better than the other. We're different. We want different things. I have absolutely no interest in laying down alchemy. None. I see people racing around Blood Mountain here in Georgia. I have no interest in putting my motorcycle into the side of the mountain. None. Took me too long to build it. But I do understand the people that chase the thrill. And as far as being immature and riding, catwalks and popping wheelies and all of that stuff, we all did it. I did it when I was growing up. I did it on motocross bikes. I did it on trail bikes. I didn't have a sport bike. But I still did it. It's part of being young. And people, look on YouTube. You'll see people doing that on Harley Davidson motorcycles. Right before they wreck into the back of a car. When you're young, you live riskier. When you're older, you just don't care. So you have cruisers and you have touring bikes. Now, the difference between the two of these is somewhat minimal. It's accessories. A touring bike usually is for a longer distance. So Harley Davidsons are cruisers. They're also touring bikes. A touring bike is also a cruiser, but a cruiser isn't necessarily a touring bike. A touring bike is a cruiser that's been made for long distance. It is more comfortable. It has, maybe it has the radio. It's different. It definitely has more saddlebags, right? It has more storage in it. Some touring bikes have trunks, mine doesn't, but something. You have several different types of cruiser bikes. You have the British motorcycles, the BSA, the board, right? You have, I'm not going to go into brands. Lots of brands make lots of different types of bikes. But the ones that you see that are relatively flat across, we used to call them UJMs, Universal Japanese Motorcycle, because they all generally look the same. Flat, the seat, the gas tank, all in one line. That's still a cruiser motorcycle, but it is not a touring motorcycle. Now, an adventure bike is generally for someone that's old enough to ride on the street, but still likes to go help. It's like the same type of thing as hiking or mountain climbing, only on a motorcycle. It's like Jeep meets motorcycle, right? All-terrain type of. And now we have this new thing, which is the electric bicycle, which is actually a motorcycle, if you want to be technical about it. But we're calling them electric bicycles. And they're still relatively new. They basically look like a motorcycle with no engine in it. Technically, it is a motorcycle with no engine in it. But the throttle is usually different. It's usually a thumb trigger. And you see them everywhere right now. You see children with these electric bicycles. And my biggest issue with that is some of these electric bicycles can scoot. They can move, which may make them too dangerous for children. Because children have always been known to ride bicycles on the road. Well, those bicycles couldn't go as fast as these electric bicycles can, which makes them more dangerous for themselves and for other people. What do you think about electric bikes? Does your child have an electric bike? Do you have an electric bike? I know a lot of people are using them as inexpensive transportation. I actually haven't ridden one. I've seen them a lot. I haven't ridden one. Maybe I will one day. And so that's it. I'm done editing. We finally made it back to the house. And we're going to sleep. It's very early in the morning. Very few hours left till we have to get up. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay free. Keep your shiny side up.